It's another eviction night in the Big Brother house, and tensions are flaring like a pressure cooker ready to blow. If you aren't one of the 26 million viewers already tuning in to Big Brother this season, you can watch all the drama unfold tonight here on Carry X5 at 7 p.m. But before we find out who gets sent packing, I spoke with the last evicted house guest, Adrian, to find out why so many people in the game are running scared. There was a lot of ugly tears. There was a lot of ugly tears when you got evicted from the house. And I'm not going to lie, I teared up myself. I was really, really, really upset. Yeah, so here we are. You were the third house guest evicted from the house. You know, when they kept talking about you, they kept saying, but he doesn't even curse when they're talking about how good of a guy you are. I want to know, did getting evicted from the house make you curse in your head?
No, I mean, I've never cursed. Like, cursing isn't like something that pops up in my head. Like, I just don't curse. Like, so, but the first thing that caught in my head was just, I was more devastated that like I was leaving the house and like I lost the opportunity like to win. And, but I was a little like upset that like the vote didn't go my way, but I didn't know who at the time for sure didn't vote my way.
Well, here, let's talk about Zach and Vince, because Zach and Vince
Okay.
both voted you out, and I think it might have dimmed their chances at winning the 750 because of it. What's your reaction to Zach and Vince's vote?
Well, I think if you watch the show, I think they're a bunch of chickens, but I also understand that like why they did what they did. But when it comes to Zach, I was a little bit surprised by it. But also I understand that Zach in the house has a soft spot for the girls. Like when it came to Ava, especially Lauren, when it came to Morgan and then Vince. If you don't know, he's basically well insulated with a lot of people in the
Oh,
house. Like
we know. I'm watching the live feeds. He started to make me a
yeah.
little bit
So,
mad
and
because
I caught on
he's
pretty quick. So,
he's running the
so I
house a
wasn't
little bit too
surprised.
much. I think he's playing a little bit too hard. And I was disappointed that they both voted you out. I don't think it's going to work in their favor in the long run because I think the girls are going to vote them out the first chance that they get. And at this point, I don't want to see Zach or Vince win because they voted you out. I did not respect that gameplay. You're being a lot kinder about it than I was in a lot of the
Yeah,
comments
I
on
think
social media.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit kinder, but because I understand, but I would not lie that I would say I'm a little bit hurt, a little bit betrayed, but I understand that they did what they think was good, but I don't think that was a good move because I agree with you. Like, I don't think it was the best long term, but they can still pull it out. But like I said, Zach's weakness is probably going to be Lauren. And I'm curious to see what happens if Lauren gets put on the block and he doesn't and how he reacts.
You said they're a bunch of chickens. Why is this season running so scared, you think?
That's a great question. Mostly because they don't want to get like blood on their hands. They're scared of the other side being mostly like Morgan, Rachel, Mickey, Jimmy. They don't want to upset anybody. They want to go with the easy targets, the easy threats.
And sometimes as a viewer, it feels like the house guests forget that they're playing for $750,000. I want to ask you, once you were settled into the house a little bit, do you realize every moment that you're playing for such a large amount of money? Do you realize the stakes, or is it easy to forget that?
I want to say it's a bit of both. At moments you remember, but at the same time you forget because in the house, especially when you first come in, you just feel like these are just people you're living with. They just feel like friends, even family to me. And I think they felt the same way. But then like when it came down to game talk, you realize, oh shoot, like we have to evict somebody. We have to take out these people no matter how much we like them or how much we dislike them. So yeah, I think it's easy to forget a lot of times because you just grow so close to each other. Because I kid you not, you talk 24/7. You're stuck in the same house, walking the same like the same paths back and forth, and it's hard not to talk to anybody. So you just grow super close to each other in such a short amount of time, and that you just forget that you have to like what you're competing for. Same thing. That's why I'm like I'm gonna call Zach a big chicken, but also like I think his weakness is gonna be for Lauren, and that might be his downfall if he's not careful. to prevent himself from getting into a showmance and putting an even bigger target on his back.
Well, it doesn't really seem like much of a showmance. It seems pretty
Uh,
one-sided.
It does, but like I said, Zach is probably willing to do almost anything to get her attention.
Look, as we wrap up, being on Big Brother, it was a big dream of yours. I want to know expectations versus reality of living in the Big Brother house. What you got?
It was an absolute blast. Like, I think like the perception was like you're gonna go in there, you're gonna like strategize, play a lot, but a lot of times you're just like chilling with the people. Like you're not really like competitions don't happen as often as you think, and then like at the same time, like you really grow close to these people, and then like you realize that like you don't want to be mean to anybody. I'm just never gonna be mean to anybody.
Well, you did a good job at some of the competitions. You didn't lose your moral compass in the house. It was certainly a pleasure watching you, Adrian.
Thank you, I appreciate it.